Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Welcome inside Rogers Center. The roof is open on a gorgeous evening here on this Monday night. It's 26 degrees at the start of play. The Yankees are in town. Joe Girardi, Carlos Beltran, and the Yankees here. The Blue Jays won 2 of 3 in New York last week. And tonight we have the same pitching matchup we had last Wednesday in New York in the second game of the 3-game series. Take a look at the Yankees. Their record is 24-25. Starlin Castro. He and Marco Estrada both played in the National League Central for a while. Castro with the Cubs, Estrada with the Brewers, so he has seen a lot of Marco Estrada and done well against him. And then the shortstop, Didi Gregorius. He's been the one guy that the Blue Jays really haven't figured out this year in the Yankee lineup. He's got a double, a home run, and 2 RBIs down in the bottom of the order, hitting 8.
That is the lineup that Marco Estrada will face tonight as he gets ready for his 10th start of the season. He's been the most consistent starter, I think, for the Jays this season. He hasn't given up more than 5 hits in each of his last 6 starts. The combined batting average, you see the righties and the lefties, that's 184. It's the lowest in the American League. Jays just need to score some runs for Marco. With the Jays, they are just averaging 3 runs for Estrada in his starts this season.
Jacoby Ellsbury will step in. Ellsbury, the leadoff hitter, batting .279 for the season. First pitch of the game is downstairs for a ball, and we are underway. If Ellsbury hits, the Yankees win. When he gets on base, they score a lot of runs. You keep him off the base, you got a good chance of beating him.
And he has been hitting lately. When asked about why, Starlin Castro had one hit right at him, getting ready for the ball game. When you ask Ellsbury about this, he said, well, I'm just trying to find some holes. I'm trying to barrel it up. Sometimes you get on top of the ball. Sometimes you don't hit it square. But lately I've been hitting it solid.
Bouncing ball through the right side. There's a base hit for Ellsbury to start the game. Let's take a look at the defense behind Marco Estrada. In the outfield, it's Sanders, Pilar, and Bautista. Their normal outfield alignment. On the infield, Donaldson's at third. Ryan Goins gets to start at shortstop tonight with Ivan Nova on the mound. Darwin Marty moves from short to second. Smokes at first. Hasn't committed an error all season. And Russell Martin starts behind the plate.
John Gibbons was saying Devon Travis is getting the night off, so I've got to put Ryan Goins in there. He has told Darwin Barney that because he's swinging a hot bat, he's going to play. He also told Ryan, he said, Ryan, you start getting some base hits and you're going to find yourself in there a lot more.
Brett Gardner batting just .221 for the season, and the Blue Jays had contributed to that low number for Gardner. They have really pitched him tough this season. He's always been a good hitter against the Blue Jays. For his career, a .288 hitter. But so far this season, he's 0 for. Gardner is 0 for 20 against the Blue Jays in 5 games so far this season.
And normally, you're right, a little thorn in the side of the Blue Jays, always come up with some big hits. Some surprising power against the Blue Jays. One of the problems he's had, he's not been hitting the fastball this year. Just over 100 against the fastball.
That's a broken bat fly ball. Bautista will get there and make the catch. Well, this is characterized as a hitter's ballpark, but that's not been the case for Marco Estrada. Look at the numbers, Pat. He has really pitched well in his first 4 starts this season.
An ERA under 2 in this ballpark, that's pretty impressive. How about the opponent's batting average of just 140 and a whip under 1? He's not even giving up a base runner an inning. You look at his stats also pitching in the American League East, and they're crazy. Everybody knows how tough the American League East is. His batting average against is .206 for his career.
Yeah, he has really done a terrific job of neutralizing the big bats. Blue Jays have just shifted their defense dramatically after that first pitch strike. Josh Donaldson, the third baseman, has moved over between Smoke and Travis. He's on the edge of the grass, and Goins remains at shortstop. Luis Rivera's in charge of the infield defense, and Tim Leeper's in charge of the outfield.
That is one pitch just in case he doesn't bunt. So after the strike, Donaldson moves over. He's going to be next to Barney at second base, and Goins is going to stay at his position at shortstop. This guy's been on a tear too.
He really took off when Alex Rodriguez went on the disabled list and Beltran was able to DH on a regular basis, and that's where that bat really came around. His numbers over his last 9 games are impressive.
He's been battling some problems too. The Yankees have been nicked injury-wise over the last week or so.
Well, that's what happens when you have older players, and they will have bumps and bruises. Sometimes they'll end up on a disabled list like Alex Rodriguez, who has just returned, but he's not in the lineup tonight.
Dustin Ackley just went on the disabled list with a shoulder problem.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Carlos Beltran. Popped up. Martin takes the mask off, jogs over toward the dugout, and makes the catch. Marco Estrada is the master of taking the sting out of the hitter's bats.
Probably the best changeup in all of baseball. He really digs that ball back into his hands, and he's got one of the best, and he's not afraid to throw it at any time. It's a great complement pitch to his fastball and his cutter and his curveball. And when he uses that changeup like he did right there to Beltran, you can take a lot of sting out of the bat and you force a lot of weak contact.
Brian McCann, the catcher in the cleanup spot, goes after the first pitch, and this is popped up right over the mound. Smoke right on top of the mound makes the catch. Estrada had to get out of his way, but he gladly did so. Leadoff single and nothing more for the Yanks. Ivan Nova will take the mound when we come back. The Blue Jays have been springing their bats well of late. They lost a tough one in extra innings yesterday, but they won the series against Boston. In fact, they won 3 straight series, trying to make it 4 against New York here. 26-26, they're third in the American League East. And let's take a look at Jose Bautista against the Yankees. 7 for 20 this season, 3 doubles and 3 RBIs. And boy, he had a big home run yesterday, as did Edwin Encarnacion. He had a line drive home run to tie the score at 3-all in yesterday's game. His numbers against Ivan Nova are impressive. He's 11 for 32 with 4 extra base hits.
This is 29-year-old Ivan Nova getting ready for his 5th start of the season and 2nd consecutive start versus the Blue Jays. 3-2 with a .365 earned run average. He entered the starting rotation when Luis Severino went on the disabled list.
On top of the roof and bounces into the seats. Bautista, first pitch swing.
And why not? He's had success against Nova. Nova, told you he went in the starting rotation when Severino went on the disabled list. He's been better as a starter. His ERA is under 3 in those 4 starts.
This is his 5th start, as Pat mentioned. Bautista takes one down and away. Nova made his first big league start right here in Rogers Center. And in that start, Jose Bautista hit a home run against Nova. Top of the order has really been tough on Ivan Nova. Bautista, Donaldson, and Encarnacion have put up huge numbers against Nova. That pitch right there is a pitch that's been added to Nova's arsenal. It's very effective.
Little two-seamer, little comeback fastball right there. He's also got a change-up and a curveball. His curveball, he's got to get that thing over.
Another sinker, high chop to third. Headley takes his time, just in time. Bautista's retired on the ground now. Let's take a look at the Yankees and how they set up defensively. Brett Gardner is in left. Jacoby Ellsbury in center. And Aaron Hicks makes his 11th start in right field. Chase Headley, former Gold Glove winner at third base. Didi Gregorius and Starlin Castro up the middle. Mark Teixeira starting for the first time since the Blue Jays played the Yankees in New York. Brian McCann and Ivan Nova make the battery tonight.
That was the first game of that 3-game series back in New York last Tuesday. He's been out with some neck spasms. He wasn't in the starting lineup yesterday, but was called in after Dustin Ackley was injured during the game, so he is fine tonight. He's a Gold Glover also over there at first base.
Mark Teixeira, can you imagine a neck pain so bad you take a cortisone shot in your neck? Donaldson pulls it foul into the seats. A ball and a strike.
How about a cortisone shot anywhere? Not good, let alone in your neck.
I can't imagine one in my neck.
No.
I've had him in the heel, and that was painful enough. Donaldson is 8 for 20 against Nova. That's a .400 average. If batting practice was any indication, we're liable to see some fireworks tonight.
Boy, you're not kidding. The ball was absolutely flying out of Rogers Center today. The wind it just seemed like when you were standing behind home plate today that there was a stiff wind at your back.
Check swing, and Donaldson tried to keep that bat from over the plate.
Even balls that weren't hit squarely or hit with solid contact were flying. I mean, flying into the second deck here this afternoon.
Well, that's a tough pitch to lay off of. Blue Jays have done such a terrific job recently hitting with 2 strikes. They've changed their approach. Edwin Encarnacion with the home run in yesterday's game. He'll be next.
A lot of them cut their swings down and start to go the other way.
When Nova first pitched for the Yankees as a rookie in his first season, he had a straight fastball and a very good curveball. Now he's introduced that 2-seam fastball, gives the hitters another dimension to worry about.
I like where his arm angle is to throw that 2-seamer. It's not right over the top, and it's not really 3/4, but it's a good arm slot to use that 2-seamer.
Base hit up the middle. Josh Donaldson, another 2-strike base hit for the Blue Jays. Well, we mentioned Encarnacion yesterday. This home run tied the score at 3-3.
It was a fastball in the inner half, and I'll tell you, Edwin can turn on anybody's fastball. That was Heath Embry's fastball, about 95 miles an hour, and he got it out of here very quickly. Teams have kept the ball away from him, but when they make mistakes, and they wanted that ball away, when they make mistakes, he's ready to jump on it.
The home run for Encarnacion was his 100th career home run here at Rogers Center. It was his 10th home run of the season and the first home run he had hit in 8 games. And a home run cut at that swing and fouled it back.
Double digits in home runs now for Edwin. Think about the sinker baller. If you don't get it down, keep that ball up against these home run hitters, they can hit it a long way.
Generally, the sinker ball is much slower than the 4-seam fastball. 2 or 3 miles an hour difference will make a difference of about a foot in your swing.
And if it's down, chances are it's moving. If it's up, it's pretty straight.
1-1 to Encarnacion.
See how that one was down? Edwin could not get through that one.
Both ball clubs, the Yankees and the Blue Jays, are 7-3 in their last 10 games. Breaking ball. C.B. Buckner down at first and no swing. Blue Jays might have got a break on that one.
Lots of fastballs, and then he throws the curveball, but Edwin was able to hold up on that one.
2 balls and 2 strikes, bottom of the first. Donaldson with a 1-out single at first base. Line drive in the alley. Nobody's going to cut it off. Donaldson's got a chance to score. He's being waved around third, and here he comes. There'll be no throw. And Encarnacion has given the Blue Jays an early lead. Well, we told you the top 3 in this batting order have always been tough on Ivan Nova.
Nova came into this game, 15th start versus the Jays, with an ERA approaching 6. And we told you that if you don't get that sinker down, some big things can happen to you. It's another one. Look at this thing. It doesn't move. It just stays right there for Encarnacion, and he waffles this ball into the gap in left center field. When the ball hit the wall, watch it hit, ricochet, and then sit there. Now Gardner has to go track it down right up against that auxiliary scoreboard, and Donaldson comes around with no throw. Just like that, 3 batters into the game, Blue Jays are in the lead.
11th double of the season for Edwin. Michael Saunders in the cleanup spot once again tonight.
We are seeing some good at-bats from the Blue Jays. I mean, really good at-bats, grinding out at-bats against some tough pitching, using the whole field.
Inside. RBI number 39 for Edwin. He's moving up the leaderboard in that department in the American League. He's in 3rd currently. David Ortiz hit a home run today to add to his league leading total. Ortiz has 47 RBIs. Encarnacion with 39 now. Robinson Cano is second with 44. Bautista also has 37. He's in the top 10. Tap foul.
Well, I told you that he has had some problems against the Blue Jays in his career. Just over the last 2 years, there are the numbers: 1-4, 724 earned run average. He just has not been able to be consistently where he needs to be to get outs against the Blue Jays. They've hit 283 against him. He has to keep the ball down. He's just inconsistent with his pitches, that he just makes too many mistakes against a good hitting team.
Another 1-2 pitch to Saunders. Another sinker fouled off at home. One thing Nova has done very well in his first 4 starts is neutralizing those left-handed bats. As a starter in his 4 starts this season, lefties have hit just 179. Those are his numbers for his career against the Blue Jays.
Maybe that's his sinker, and his changeup is coming into play a little bit more against the left-handers. There's too much inconsistency. And if you're the Blue Jays, and you got another big inning brewing right here, 22 pitches already, got to wait him out.
Missed with that pitch, and Saunders is seeing a lot of pitches. The Yankees got another good start from Evaldi yesterday. And they beat Tampa Bay 2 of 3 as they depart on this 10-game road trip. Saunders went around and strikes out. That's 2 down now.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by Rogers 4K TV. Get closer to the action with 4 times the resolution of HD alone.
Justin Smoke, switch hitting first baseman, will step in with the man in scoring position in 2 outs. Smoke a very respectable .282 batting average. And he turns it loose on that high pitch.
One of the well-pitched games that Nova had against the Blue Jays over the last few years, it was this guy right here, Justin Smoke, who touched him up for a grand slam. Other than that, Nova was outstanding. Remember that game back at Yankee Stadium last year?
First time a Blue Jay had ever hit a grand slam at Yankee Stadium. And it was Justin Smoke. Nova's ahead quickly 0-2. Blue Jays have scored first in this game. Josh Donaldson scored from first on Edwin Encarnacion's RBI double. Ground ball. Teixeira has it. He'll go to the bag. That's the inning, but the Blue Jays break out on top. A run on 2 hits, an RBI double by Edwin Encarnacion. It gives the Blue Jays a lead with his 12th double of the season and 39th ribby.
Afternoon, Troy Tulowitzki and infield coach Louis Rivera were working with Devin Travis over at second base. Rivera told me that over the last 5 games he noticed a couple of things from Travis he wanted to correct. The first was that he thought Travis was fielding the ball a little too deep. Rivera would prefer that he catch the ball more in front of him. The second thing that he noticed was on a couple of plays from last night, Travis seemed to be, it looked like he could get to balls with his backhand, but he chose not to. So Rivera said he wanted to correct that. So he and Tulowitzki were doing some backhand drills with Travis. I asked Rivera how valuable it was to have a Gold Glove infielder help him out. And he said, you know what, Hazel, every time you have Tulowitzki there, it is invaluable to these young players because young players tend to listen more to their teammates, Buck, than they do to their coaches.
Well, they sure do, Hazel. That's a great point because you could see not only was Tulowitzki there with Devin, it was also Josh Donaldson. And players do listen more to their peers, and a great player like Tulowitzki and an MVP like Josh Donaldson come out and try to help a young player, you're going to listen.
Yeah, that's what I took from that little exercise right there. Players will respect the coaches because they've been there. Louis was a great fielder in his playing days, but when somebody from your team has the time to come out and work with you, you're going to take it all in and try and make yourself better. And Devin wants to make himself better. So he's just not feeling real confident with his backhand. Louis wants to see him use that backhand in the game just a little bit more.
It says Mark Teixeira with a 2-2 count. Teixeira has been plagued by neck spasms, as we had mentioned. Having a tough start to his season through 43 games, hitting just 93, and he strikes out here. First strikeout for Estrada. Well, we mentioned the Yankees. They won 2 of 3 against Tampa Bay. Yesterday they had 1 hit and 1.
And there it is right there. The only hit that they got in the game against Tampa Bay and Jake Odorizzi was this home run by Starlin Castro. Nathan Eovaldi made it stand up as they won for the first time with just 1 hit in a ball game.
This is Starlin Castro, who hit that home run. It was his 7th home run of the season. Nathan Eovaldi, he picked up the win. He's had a great month of May. Masahiro Tanaka on his right. He will pitch the finale of this game on Wednesday night. Finale of this series. We mentioned the Yankees are starting out on a long road trip. They had 3 games in Tampa, 3 here in Toronto. They'll play a single game in Detroit Thursday and then 3 more in Baltimore. Line drive to left. Saunders is there, makes the catch. Solid contact, but he hit it right to the left fielder.
Well, that's what I like about Marco Estrada. He comes right at you. Doesn't give you anything like a pattern that you can say, okay, threw me all fastballs that time, I'm going to look for it again. He can use his changeup at any time, and it's about a feel. It's about what am I seeing from those hitters? Are they having problem with my cutter or my curveball or my changeup? And then just keep feeding it in there.
Third baseman Chase Headley. You see the camouflage hat that Marco Estrada is wearing. That's to recognize Memorial Day in the States. Kevin Pillar ranges over into the alley, makes the catch. 3 up, 3 down. The Yankees go quietly in the top of the 2nd.
Academy will be hosting 14 Honda Super Camps across Canada. Learn techniques from former Blue Jays such as Roberto Alomar, Devon White, Lloyd Mosby, Jesse Barfield, and Dwayne Ward. Register now at bluejays.com/camps. Bye.
Thank you very much, Hazel. And the camps are always great for the kids. You get some great instruction, see some former Blue Jays, and have a good time while you're doing it. Russell Martin, we talk about Russell Martin heating up a little bit. He hit his first 2 home runs against the Yankees, and this time he pops it up to his counterpart, Brian McCann, the Yankee catcher. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 2nd.
Boy, that you can see Russell how upset he is with himself. A lot of times hitters won't go up there that first time up, leading off an inning. Their first at bat, they might want to take a look at that pitcher. That time Russell felt confident enough to swing at that first pitch fastball, and it was a pitch to hit, and he just popped it up.
Darwin Barney had a very interesting game yesterday facing David Price. He had a couple balls right on the nose in the second leading off. He lined out in the alley and Blake Swihart dove and made a catch. Robbed him of extra bases. Then his next at bat with one out in the fourth. He hit a rocket more straight away to left, but it was right to Blake Swihart. Hit two balls hard, had nothing to show for it.
See, sometimes you don't have to hit it that hard to get hits.
Now that's what he said later on. He broke his bat and got a hit. He ended up 2 for 5 in the afternoon.
Sometimes it just doesn't pay to make solid contact. Bloop a couple balls out there.
Off the plate now, 3 balls and a strike to Darwin Barney. Kevin Pillar is on deck. Barney's in the 7th spot, Pillar 8th, and then Ryan Goins batting 9th. Line drive, that's going to be right there for Jacoby Ellsbury.
The all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Kevin Pillar batting with nobody on and 2 outs. Pillar's average at 242. Curveball for a strike. Pillar has not done much against Ivan Nova, just 1 for 13 for his career. Kevin was over 5 in that extra inning game yesterday. You saw Brian McCann slide to the inside for that last pitch because the previous pitch was inside as well. He didn't have a very good swing at it.
He was telling me the other day that he really likes the ball inside because he can turn on it just a little bit more. So Nova did him a favor. A couple of fastballs on the inner half. They're going back in there.
And they missed their spot, but it's going to work out for Nova. 3 up, 3 down. We're going to go to the 3rd. The Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead. Gregorius, Hicks, and Ellsbury for New York.
Flying to catch a ball game, why not book a WestJet Plus fare? It's more than a seat, it's a premium experience for a smart price.
The WestJet flight deck has a nice crowd here again tonight. Well, Blue Jays had a great series over the weekend for attendance. 144,000 plus for the 3 games.
And it was rocking here, wasn't it? Wow, that was a fun series.
Didi Gregorius will lead things off for the Yankees. He's having a great start to his season against the Blue Jays. 6 for 16. Well, that's a good curveball. Gregorius has hit a double, a home run. In fact, he had a home run against Marco Estrada last time he faced him in New York. Estrada gave up back-to-back home runs to Chase Headley and Didi Gregorius in the 7th.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier today about the top of the lineup. Marco handled the top of the lineup in that start back at New York. The top 6, 0 for 20. He had problems with the bottom.
Pull to first. Big hop for Smoke. Gregorius retired. Marco Estrada has really found a home here in Toronto. Last year was his first season, and you see how much he's improved from his last year in Milwaukee back in 14.
Came over from Milwaukee in the Adam Lynn trade, and Blue Jays weren't really sure what they were going to get with Marco Estrada. He's been giving up a lot of home runs for the Brewers, but look at the progress that he has had since he has come to the Blue Jays. The ERA has gone down 3 straight years. The opponent's batting average has gone down 3 straight years. In fact, that 184 you see right there, opponent's batting average, best in the American League. Now that is saying something. You've got to deal with a designated hitter, and you're pitching in small ballparks.
Yeah, and it's better than Chris Sale, it's better than Felix Hernandez, and it's better than Rich Hill, who's 8-3.
And nobody talks about Marco Estrada as one of the best in the American League.
0-1. One hopper to Goins. Boy, he makes a nice play on that. That kind of bounced up funny on him, and he gets Aaron Hicks.
You know, last season, Marco had one of the lowest opponent's batting average in the American League, and his batting average on balls in play was one of the lowest in the American League, and everybody said, well, that's a fluke. No, it's not. Look what he has done right here. 184, better than Sale, Salazar, Tillman, and Rich Hill. Better than some of the other big ones, King Felix, and some of the other great pitchers that over the years, Verlander, that we have seen in the American League. It's Marco Estrada who's number 1.
Chris Tillman of the Orioles is 5-0 in the month of May. And, you know, everybody says, oh, the wins don't mean anything. Well, if the wins don't mean anything, then why doesn't Marco Estrada get more attention?
Because he doesn't win the games, because they don't score many runs.
Because wins matter.
Yeah, they do. If you're a starter, you're supposed to win, right? Yeah. Or pitch well enough to win.
Jacoby Ellsbury singled his first time up. Ellsbury came into this game with 33 hits in his last 30 games, hitting over 300 during that stretch. Three balls and a strike, 2 outs. Ellsbury takes the 2-out walk. It's the first walk issued by Marco.
You can see Marco shaking his head there a little bit. 2 outs, nobody on. Chance to be a little bit more aggressive with Ellsbury.
Marco Estrada is trying to do something only Dave Stieb has done in franchise history. That is beat the Yankees twice in a span of 5 days. Dave Stieb did it back in 1982, also in May. 2 outs. There's a strike to Brett Gardner. Ellsbury will run it first. He's got 9 stolen bases. Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead. There he goes. Russell Martin's throw, not in time. Ellsbury really had timed up Estrada, and when he got that moving start, he steals it easily. Stolen base number 10 for Ellsbury.
He got a nice walking lead over there at first base. Took a couple of big hops, steps, timed it up perfectly, and he picked on a good pitch. That looked like an off-speed pitch. Gave him a little bit more time to get into second base. Goins right in front of the bag, and there's the aggressive slide. Right into second base. Yeah, you knew that he was going to run at some point there. They have been having their trouble scoring runs and getting base hits. So you get a 2-out walk, and you've got that kind of speed at first base. Why have him nailed down at the bag?
Yeah, and you got a second leadoff hitter behind you in case you do get thrown out in Brett Gardner. 0-2 to Gardner. Good block by Martin. Boy, that was textbook by Russell right there. He went down and plugged up the 5-hole with his glove and then angled his chest protector over to keep that ball right there at home plate.
Didn't try and catch it. He was just trying to block it. Watch his arms and his hands. Let me get as big as I can, close up all the holes in my body, and just try and block it and keep it in front of me.
Gardner had to reach for that pitch off the plate outside. See the Yankee helmets? They're a matte black now. When we were in New York, they were shiny black, and they've gotten a new shipment of helmets, and reminiscent of the helmets the Yankees wore in the 60s.
Mickey Mantle. I remember seeing
Roger
Mickey Mantle.
Maris had that kind of a velour look to it. Little chopper out in front of home. Easy play for Martin. That'll end the inning. The walk doesn't factor in. The Yankees leave a runner in scoring position. Go to the bottom of the third. 1-0 Blue Jays. Well, Cleveland hasn't had much fun tonight at all. First of all, the Indians have committed 3 errors. Terry Francona was ejected from the game, and they're losing 9-0. Texas has scored in the first 4 innings before they didn't score in the 5th. Ryan Goins drills this to the alley. Hicks trying to cut it off, and he won't. Goins is headed for second, and he'll stop right there with a leadoff double. That's how you get more playing time.
Yeah, and Gibby has said that. He said, you know, you swing a hot bat. I like to ride my hitters who are swinging a hot bat. This is a double, just like the ball that he hit in Yankee Stadium. Ball that was out over the plate, and he rips it into the gap. Look at the head straight down on that ball, and good follow through. He's got enough power to hit extra bases into the gap in right center field. By the time Hicks runs that down, Goins is at second base.
That double you mentioned was a 2-out double against Ivan Nova. A 2-run double for Goins. Jose Bautista. Breaking ball. That came out of his hands. The fans reacting, of course, with all that's gone on with Bautista, but that was a breaking ball. Jose knows it.
Yeah, and he got right up and got back into his toe hole right there at home plate. He's right on top of the plate. So anything that comes out of the hand and is up there like that, that's scary.
tell you what, he had some round of batting practice this afternoon, and I spoke to him about that, and he said, my rhythm is good now. I feel like everything's in sync, and if the pitcher pitches me quickly, I can time it up, and if he takes his time, I can slow it down.
Isn't that the truth about hitting? You talk to all the good ones, and they talk about rhythm and timing and feeling good at the plate, and that helps you to see the ball. Remember, we were telling you that the ball was flying out of here. Well, Jose must have been working on his line drive stroke, because he was hitting 360-foot line drives today. Short hopping the wall in left field.
Two balls and a strike. Nobody out. Goins at second. Lays off that pitch. Another thing that happens when Bautista is in such good rhythm is he says, my eyes tell my hands where to go. He doesn't have to think about where the pitch is. He said, I just react to what I see.
Your brain's a little bit quicker than you think, right? If your eyes tell you the ball's down and away, or if the ball's inside.
Bautista takes another walk.
Home Hardware and Building Center locations, proud partners of the Toronto Blue Jays. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Two aboard for Josh Donaldson. The walk for Bautista, number 40 for the season. He leads the American League by 8 over Mike Trout. Donaldson singled to center his first time up. Pat, we have seen this so steady trend toward the Blue Jays being the Blue Jays once again. Started in New York. Betances and Chapman, they got some big hits to the opposite field, and they carried that into the Boston series, and they started getting 2 strike hits, and everybody's using the whole field again.
I thought that whole road trip where it started in Minnesota, we started seeing the boys banging the ball out of the ballpark. We started seeing them go to right field, just putting up quality at bats. Minnesota had a staff that really wasn't going to strike you out, so I think the guys' timing just started coming around, and they went to Minnesota. They went from Minnesota to New York and continued that. They pounded the ball over the weekend against the Boston Red Sox, taking 2 out of 3 against them.
And it all coincides with Bautista hitting in the leadoff spot. And put him up there, and that was a player's idea. A bunch of the veteran players got together and said, we got to do something. This team is not scoring any runs. Josh Donaldson takes one inside. It's a ball on the strike.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing that we found out when Jose was talking to us in Minnesota about the players getting together. And Gibby said, you know, whatever you think, if you think that's going to help you to shake yourself out of the doldrums, let's do it.
Little chopper out in front of home. McCann out quickly. Goes to first in time. Donaldson with a swing. Moves the runners up. Works just like a bunt. Not what he had in mind, but the results are positive.
You know what? We're seeing 2 of the better catchers, I think, in the American League, and Russell Martin and in Brian McCann. We saw Martin in last inning on a similar play coming out and throwing out a runner at first base. McCann does the same thing. Didn't even look at all those other bases. Said, I got to get it out over at first base. And finishes it off now with first base open. Let's see if they pitch to Encarnacion.
See how aggressive they will be. Edwin with the RBI double. He's driven in the only run of this game. That was in the first. Ground ball. That's going to score a run. Goins got a good break. Encarnacion picks up another RBI. He's got 40 now, and the Blue Jays have a 2-0 lead.
That's a quiet 40, isn't it? A quiet 10 home runs also for Edwin. He hit that 10th yesterday to join double figures with the Blue Jays with Bautista and Donaldson. That time you just keep it in the middle of the diamond and get a free RBI.
Well, they moved the runners up with that swinging bunt off the bat of Donaldson, and then another ground ball, broken bat grounder to short. Blue Jays pick up the run. Ryan Goins with the leadoff double comes in to score. Bautista in scoring position for Saunders. Ryan Goins, almost a carbon copy of the double he hit off Nova last Wednesday in New York, started the inning.
You know what? It was the first pitch, too. I love that. I love it. First pitch of the inning. Go up there swinging.
Saunders drives this into center. Ellsbury's not going to get it. Here comes Bautista around third. He'll score. And Michael Saunders with an RBI double. Another hard hit ball to the opposite field.
And just like Ryan Goins hitting that first pitch, Saunders isn't waiting around. Said, I got a guy in scoring position. The first good one I see, I'm going to let it go. Drives in his 18th run of the season with this pretty swing. Sinker down and away, doesn't try and pull it, goes right with it. Look how long that bat stayed through that hitting zone. Slicing that ball away from Ellsbury, extra bases. And Bautista scores the third run of the game.
2 outs now. Another runner in scoring position for Smoke. Nova was going to throw a first pitch strike to Smoke.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He's not throwing him a fastball here. Curveball.
Two 2-0. Ryan McCann going out to have a chat with Nova again. Nova's already up to 50 pitches. He had a 27-pitch first inning. He had an easy second inning, but now his pitch count has jumped again.
He got himself in a hole by giving up that leadoff double. Then he had to face the meat of the order at the top of the order for the Blue Jays, and they put on 2 more runs on the scoreboard. That little meeting we saw right there might be, hey, first base is open. We got a right-hander on deck. Let's be very careful with Justin Smoke.
Bouncing ball over the mound. Gregorius playing straight behind second, makes the play. The inning is over, but the Blue Jays scored 2. Encarnacion with an RBI. Michael Saunders an RBI double. And here comes the ultimate cleanup crew, brought to you by Home Hardware's exclusive line of the ultimate hard hitting and tough on grime cleaning products.
Green chairs in the TD Comfort Zone are guests of TD. While over in the Jays Care Community Clubhouse, our folks from Precious Mind Support Services. Welcome, everybody. Enjoy the ball game. Buck.
Thank you very much, Hazel. Beautiful evening here at Rogers Center. Nice, comfortable 26 degrees at the start of play, and it's more comfortable now because the Blue Jays have a 3-0 lead. Edwin Encarnacion with a pair of RBIs. Mike Saunders with the other. Carlos Beltran has moved the infield around to 3 on the first base side of second.
That is the shortstop, Ryan Goins, out in short right field. He plays out there when he was playing second base. He's got a little bit better arm than Darwin Barney. That's why they have him out there, just in case the ball comes to him. That is a long way from first base.
Yeah, it takes the shortstop's arm to make that throw.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
So you're out there. How many times do we see Ryan out there? How come we never see him practicing that throw? When they're always taking ground balls, they're always on the infield.
You know what? I think he goes out there from time to time, makes a few throws from out there. It might not be, you know, they take it with their partner, double play partner and that, but I think he practices for throwing out there.
I want to start watching for that, because that's a long throw, that one camera angle that we just showed you right there.
Well, you know what he does, especially now when he's going to be kind of a rotating shortstop second baseman. He takes ground balls at short, so that kind of replicates that throw. Yeah. Beltran with a 1-2 count, leading off the fourth. Tim Leeper wants Michael Saunders to move a bit. Can't get his attention. Beltran hits one right through the shift. A leadoff single in the fourth. Marco Estrada has been so consistent, as Pat mentioned. He has had 6 straight starts of 6 or more innings, allowing 5 or fewer hits. That's one off the franchise record for the Blue Jays. It was 7 set by A.J. Burnett in 2007. And that's a pretty impressive outing. 6+ innings, 5 or fewer hits.
Who says you have to throw 95 to have success in the big leagues? Marco does it with a lot of smarts and some deception and some well-placed pitches.
Well, Marco, of course, has talked about the impact that Pete Walker's had with him, helped him develop the cutter. He talked about the former Blue Jay catcher, Deanna Navarro, and, of course, Mark Burley. How he picked something up from each of those 3.
Work a little quicker. He got that from Mark Burley.
Ground ball. Smoke will go to second. There's 1. Back to first. There's 2. A nifty double play started by Justin Smoke erases that leadoff single.
You know, that was a very interesting way they had to turn that, because they were in the shift. Justin Smoke, watch the moving target he has to hit. He's got to hit Ryan Goins coming from the second base side, and Goins handled it perfectly. That's a play that we have seen infields working on. The double play out of the shift.
Yeah, there's always adjustments according to who hits the ball, where it's going, and how the shift is set up at that time. Mark Teixeira struck out his first time up. Changeup he waves at. It's 0-2 quickly.
That was a thing of beauty to watch those guys handle that ball right there.
Teixeira fights it off. Teixeira's had a very rough start to his season, compounded recently by that neck problem. He had neck spasms, but he's now struck out 47 times. Goins out in right. He has time. That's the inning. So Marco Estrada gives up a leadoff single. Double play gets him 2, and Teixeira grounds out. We'll go to the bottom of the fourth. 3-0 Blue Jays.
Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
Thank you very much, Hazel May. Lots going on. If you had your MLB.tv, you could check out some of the great games. The Mets beat the Chicago White Sox 1-0 behind Brian Harvey today. Atlanta put one on Jeff Smarja and the San Francisco Giants. Oakland, they have had their problems with injuries. They beat Minnesota 3-2. And Cincinnati, they won a game.
They're up to 17 wins now.
Russell Martin made some adjustments. He made a bat order. And what was the thoughts behind ordering a lighter, smaller bat?
He said, I need to be able to control the bat just a little bit more. It felt like I was having to start my swing a little bit early with the heavier bat. He said, now I feel like I can control the bat. I can wait just a little bit longer. Now it's just a ½ an ounce lighter, and it's a ½ an inch shorter. But right now he is hitting. He's got his hands back just a little bit more. And when you've got that kind of confidence, I'll tell you, you're going to see that batting average start to go up.
Russell pops up for a second time. This time Chase Headley, the third baseman, makes the catch. So Russell has popped out twice so far in this game.
You changed your bat, didn't you, as you went along?
Every day. Always trying to find one that had the hits in it.
Or the one that wasn't cracked.
You know, I have my contract with Louisville Slugger when I played, and I have all my bat orders. It's laughable.
Why?
Just because the different size, the different weights, the different models. That's a nice swing for Darwin Barney. He'd been trying left so frequently. He said, let me go to right and get a base hit. But yeah, I ordered every kind of bat. Somebody get hot, I order his bat.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, if you played with George Brett and he had a C243 or whatever, and he got some hits, and said, well, let me get that bat order. Maybe there's some hits in there for me.
You know, George never used. I never used any of George's bats. He used a Marv Throneberry bat, a T85, I think, and that was the bat he used his whole career. But yeah, I was always changing bats, trying to find something to hit with.
Probably drove the clubby crazy.
Wow.
Jeff Ross probably went crazy.
Hit and run is on. Pilar swings and misses. The throw is in plenty of time. And Darwin Barney is tagged out. That was a straight hit and run, and Pilar pulled one off this week. They thought they might try it again, but that sinking fastball ran inside. Pilar swung right over the top of it.
Kevin's had some problems with that ball on the inner half. It looked like they wanted to go away, but the ball came right back in, and you're the runner at first base. You're not really concerned about getting thrown out. You just don't want to get picked off. So you make sure he delivers the ball home, and you are counting on that batter making contact with the baseball. That time Darwin Barney gets thrown out. That's the first time Darwin's been thrown out this year trying to steal.
He is 2 for 3 in stolen base attempts. 2 outs. Ground ball. Headley backs up a step, throws across in time. Just 8 pitches for Ivan Nova. A single and nothing more. Blue Jays have the lead. Now time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio. Tomorrow night, 10 Eastern, the Tigers will be in Anaheim to take on the Angels. That's 7 Pacific time, Sportsnet 1 and Sportsnet Now, so make sure you check it out. Tiger baseball. Blue Jays will be in Detroit next week. See the Tigers for the first time. The schedule, as I have it, has Happ, Sanchez, and Stroman pitching against the Tigers. 6th, 7th, and 8th of June. So we move to the 5th. Marco Estrada doesn't know how to pitch with a 3-run lead. He hadn't had much run support all season long until his last start against the Yankees.
Yeah, they finally broke that thing open late in the game, didn't they?
Starlin Castro lined out to left field his first time up. As we mentioned top of the show, he's got good numbers against Marco Estrada. A .414 average at the start of play tonight.
He's a free swinger. So Marco, you know, tried a little cutter right there to see if he would overswing and get it off the end of the bat. Got to challenge him here now.
3-0. Marco walked Ellsbury with 2 outs in the 3rd. Ellsbury eventually stole second but was stranded there. Popped up, smoke over near the seats, but this is going to be back out of play. You know, there are certain things you try to teach every pitcher. First of all, of course, throw strikes. Then you talk about changing speeds. But one thing that Marco does very well, he pitches quickly. He works very quickly between pitches.
He learned that from Mark Burley. Get that ball and throw it. Keep everybody engaged. You can see he's upset with himself on that one. 3-2 changeup, and he loses Castro.
This Blue Jays Rogers 4K broadcast is powered by the Samsung 4K SUHD TV.
Chase Headley, the switch hitting third baseman, takes the first pitch strike. It is Memorial Day in the United States, and to honor all the servicemen and women. And you can see that Marco Estrada is wearing a Canadian Forces camouflage hat, a little more green tint to it. Goins is out. He calls for it, makes the catch in shallow center field. 1 out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Wood, Grimm, Strop, Rondon all combined to pitch hitless relief over 7 innings.
25 in a row set down at the end of the game by the bullpen. Pretty interesting, isn't it?
Pretty effective, and the Cubs have everything going. They got every aspect of the game covered right now. Didi Gregorius grounded out to the first baseman his first time up. Ground ball. This should be 2. Goins to Barney. Back to first. It is. Second double play of the game turned by the Blue Jays. And we'll go to the bottom of the 5th. Ryan Goins got things started in the 3rd with a leadoff double. He came in to score the second Blue Jays runs. Bautista walked and scored. And Josh Donaldson has had a hit and a run scored already.
fans, enter the Bacardi Blue Jays for a Day contest for a chance to win a great Blue Jays on-field experience. For details, entry form, and rules, go to bluejays.com/Bacardi contest. Now the contest closes Thursday, June 30th at 4:59 p.m. Buck.
Great opportunity, so enter that Bacardi contest and you can be Blue Jays for the day on-field experience. Great opportunity to get here at Rogers Center. This is Ryan Goins. He got things going back in the third. Takes the first pitch fastball outside for ball one.
We were talking earlier about Ivan Nova's two-seam fastball, that he's getting a lot of ground balls with it. Tonight, not a lot.
The best ones he's thrown have been to Kevin Pillar. He starts him off the plate inside, and Pillar has chased a couple of them.
Been hitting a lot of fly balls and some pop-ups. Tells me that he just has not been able to locate that two-seamer tonight.
Owens drives this one deep to left. Garner at the track. This ball is gone. Ryan Goins. Home run number 3 for Goins.
We were talking earlier in the game when the Encarnacion double happened to left center field. If you can't locate that sinker, you're not going to get ground balls. You're going to get fly balls, and they're going to fly right out of here. There is a jet stream tonight here at Rogers Center, and Ryan Goins just found it.
That's the 6th home run that Nova has allowed. Home run number 3 for Goins, RBI number 9. He's got a double and a home run, and he's scored a pair tonight. Jose Bautista walked and scored in the third.
Ivan Nova now has 5 starts and 5 home runs given up this season as a Yankee. There's the two-seamer. Doesn't locate it. Keeps that ball down and away. But it's right where Ryan Goins can reach it, and he shows you got a little oppo power. Puts it right into the bullpen of the Blue Jays.
Hey, what did I tell you before the game started?
Bautista strikes out. Second strikeout of the ball game for Nova. Troy Tulowitzki on the DL. Goins said, "You better get back. You better get healthy. I'm starting to get hot."
Somebody must have told him that he was going to do something special tonight. Whenever you see a player after a big hit like that go up there and hug your teammates or have something to say to them, it's almost like, hey, I told you you were going to hit a home run tonight. That was a blast the other way, wasn't it?
You know what he's done? He stayed on the ball a little bit better, not trying to do too much, and he's gotten good results. Josh Donaldson 1 for 2 so far. He had a productive at bat in the third. He topped a curveball right out in front of home plate with runners at first and second, and he moved him up. Then Encarnacion got jammed, hit a grounder to short, but Goins came in to score. Ground ball. Headley came after it, made a nice play, and throws Donaldson out.
Headley, the former Gold Glover, when he was with the Padres, that was a quick decision right there. Do I lay back on that ball or do I charge it? He did the right thing. He charged it and got the short hop, and after that it was easy. Make the play over to first base. That was a nifty play by Headley.
2 down now. Blue Jays have 4 runs on 6 hits. Nova hasn't had his curveball all night.
Yeah, he doesn't have his curveball. He doesn't really have good location with that sinker. Blue Jays have 3 doubles and a home run out of those 6 hits.
Larry Rothschild, the long-term pitching coach for the Yankees, talking with the manager Joe Girardi. That's bounced foul. We mentioned the pitching matchups in this series. It'll be CC Sabathia against Jay Happ. Another great matchup of lefties. And then Masahiro Tanaka against Aaron Sanchez. There's a good curveball for the strikeout. A couple of strikeouts in the inning. But Ryan Goins twice has led off innings with extra base hits. This one in the 5th, an opposite field, a home run, 4-0 Blue Jays.
Presented by the all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
It's a great night here at Rogers Center, and those gentlemen right there, they are the 1984 Canadian Olympic team, the baseball team that played in the Olympics in Los Angeles. And they were coached by Eric McKenzie. There were some great players there. Larry Downs was an infielder. Jim Eliopoulos was the catcher. Mike Gardner had a terrific start in that game. And the catcher for that team was Rob Thompson, who is the bench coach for the Yankees. And he got a chance to catch up with some of those former teammates in a social event they had last night. The Yankees were flying in from Tampa Bay, and they actually dropped Rob off at the function. So he had a chance to see them all. Kevin Reimer was on that team. Left-handed pitcher Steve Wilson, who pitched for the Dodgers.
Bob Elliott had an outstanding article today in the newspaper about that 1984 Olympic team. 8 Canadians went pro from that team. 3 of them made it to the major leagues. Steve Wilson, you talked about Mike Gardner and Kevin Reimer. They all played 6 seasons in the big leagues.
Kevin Reimer, a big left-handed hitting outfielder, came up with the Texas Rangers. Marco Estrada paints that outside corner to get Aaron Hicks to start the 6th.
Was that when they introduced or reintroduced, that ball is fouled off by Ellsbury, baseball back into the Olympics in 1984?
I think that was the first time they had baseball in the Olympics.
Okay.
Yep. The Canadians, they had a great team, and when you look at the U.S. roster was loaded.
Barry Larkin, Corey Snyder.
Rod Dedeaux, the great Hall of Fame coach from USC, was the coach of that team. Will Clark was on the team.
McGuire.
Chris Gwynn, Mark McGuire, Barry Larkin, Shane Mack, John Marzano, Corey Snyder, B.J. Surhoff, Billy Swift, Bobby Witt. It was quite a team. And you know who pitched against that team? Chris Colabella's father.
Lou.
Yeah.
He loves telling the story about that. I don't think he got it out of the first inning, but he said, you know what? I was there. I believe it was at Dodger Stadium. because the Olympics was held in Los Angeles that year.
Joe Girardi told me that he tried out for that team. That ball is hit high and deep, but not deep enough. Jacoby Ellsbury has flied out to Kevin Pillar. Girardi tried out for Team USA. They had tryouts in Louisville, Kentucky, and he didn't make the team. USA took B.J. Surhoff as one of their catchers. But Girardi was a sophomore at that time at Northwestern.
Great team. Great Olympics.
Brett Gardner makes the first pitch strike. Marco Estrada trying to close out the sixth. He's allowed just 2 hits to the Yankees. And if he gets this final out of the 6th inning, it'll be 7 straight games, 6 or more innings with 5 or fewer hits. That'll tie the franchise record. Gardner slices this one into the seats. A.J. Burnett had a streak of 7 straight games, 6 or more innings pitched, 5 or fewer hits back in 2007. And Marco with an out here will tie him for the franchise record.
How about the contrast in styles between A.J. Burnett and Marco Estrada?
Great point. A.J. was a flamethrower.
Marco's got to be very difficult to hit against because you see it right there and then you swing and the ball's gone. You say, okay, now I got him. I got him this time, and then he'll throw a changeup to you or a curveball.
Curveball.
It's just got to be very maddening to try and hit against Estrada.
Brett Gardner is 0 for 22 against the Blue Jays this season. And he is 3 for 23 against Marco Estrada. And I can tell you as a catcher, this is a thrill to catch a guy that can throw strikes with everything. Ground ball up the middle. Goins is there behind the bag. In time. Estrada has just tied the franchise record. 7 straight games, 6 or more innings, 5 or fewer hits allowed. 4-0 Blue Jays.
An exciting new way to stream sports. Sportsnet Now lets you live stream your favorite sports without cable TV. All you need is internet. Start your free trial today. Visit sportsnet.ca/now.
Another good crowd on hand here tonight, and so far so good for the Blue Jay fans. It's 4-0 Jays. Marco Estrada shutting out the Yanks on just 2 hits. Michael Saunders picked up an RBI. His last time up had an RBI double in the 3rd.
That might have been his best sinker right there of the night from Ivan Nova. And Michael Saunders just took it.
Curveball that evens the count at 1-1. Sinker off the end of the bat. Tony Pena, who has alternated between bench coach, first base coach. He's in charge of the catchers. He too was a former manager, Kansas City Royals. He's a veteran coaching staff for the Yankees.
Boy, is it ever. Larry Rothschild, another former manager, is on that staff for the Yankees.
First manager of Tampa Bay. Breaking ball hammered to right. That's going to hold up for Aaron Hicks. One down.
Blue Jays have been hitting the ball in the air, so that is rare against Ivan Nova. Over the last couple of seasons, look at the sinker rate that he is starting to get. The four-seamer, you can see that has gone down. Then the sinker usage has gone up. 63.3% in 2016. He now has the highest ground ball percentage in baseball right now at 63.6% thanks to that sinker rate.
He's not throwing it like that tonight.
No. Has not been able to throw it in the lower parts of the strike zone or command it where he needs to get ground balls.
Justin Smoke has grounded out twice so far tonight. There's a good sinker. Took a little bit off, a little bit slower, got better movement.
86 miles an hour. You worked like a changeup, and he got more sink, and he threw it in a better spot.
Boston beat Baltimore this afternoon. Oakland beat Minnesota 3-2. Seattle, boy, they're scoring a bunch of runs too. 9-3 over San Diego. There's been some talk in Chicago that they're in talks with San Diego trying to acquire James Shields. The White Sox have lost 6 in a row.
7 today.
Lost their 7th today. They are now just 2 games over 500. But Kansas City, they're back on top of the American League Central.
With all of those injuries, goodness gracious, Matt Harvey did the job on the White Sox this afternoon.
That's right. They lost 1-0. Jose Quintana, a tough luck loss. Kansas City at home playing the Rays.
Have you seen some of those wins by the Kansas City Royals the last few days?
They won a series where they had 3 comeback wins, down 2 runs or more in each of those 3 wins, and came back and beat the White Sox 3 straight. Strike 3 call. That sinker at the knees. 2 down.
Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Proud partners of the Toronto Blue Jays. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
2 outs. We mentioned the Kansas City Royals. They had 3 comeback wins to sweep the White Sox. First time in franchise history to trail by 2 or more runs during the 7th inning or later and come back and win. Russell Martin jumps on the first pitch. That seems to be a popular theme against Nova tonight.
Hit one of those get me over sinkers that are up. One of those games you're just talking about. They scored 7 runs in the bottom of the 9th to beat the White Sox. Russell See how his hands are starting back? He says it helps him to stay on that ball just a little bit longer. A little less movement. I can wait just a little bit longer. That's a good swing right there. Solid single to left field.
Darwin Barney has a hit. Barney singled to right in the fourth. He lined out to center his first time up. He's squaring it up quite frequently right now. Average at 325.
Yeah, that's why he's in the lineup. Gibby said that today. He said he's hitting the ball. He's being very productive offensively, and I'm going to ride him for as long as he is hot.
You know, that's what they did in Boston with Travis Shaw. Got off to a good start. Sandoval was struggling, and they would later find out he had a shoulder problem. But Travis Shaw got off to a hot start. John Farrell said, I got to go with the best team.
He's not going anywhere either. Even if Sandoval came back, not the way that guy can hit.
Well, of course, the Blue Jays need production from both Goins and Barney, with Troy Tulowitzki on the show. Look out. 3-0. Well, the Yankee bullpen, they're starting to move around down there in right field. It's the first game of a 3-game series, and the Yankees are in the midst of a 10-game road trip. So Joe Girardi and Larry Rothschild try to be as economical as possible with their relief innings. They have a 1-game makeup on Thursday in Detroit. Michael Pineda is scheduled to pitch in that game. Nick Goody pitched against the Blue Jays in New York. He starts to loosen up, and now a left-hander starts to throw as well. That's probably Richard Blyer.
Yes.
Bouncing ball to short. Tough hop for Gregorius. What an athletic play. Oh my. He saves a hit for Ivan Nova. That took a wicked hop. Had some topspin on it, and watch the athleticism of Gregorius. Handles it no problem. Is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. We move to the 7th, and Marco Estrada continues to stymie opposing hitters.
How about that? 6 innings pitched tonight for Estrada, just 66 pitches. This is exactly the kind of game that John Gibbons was hoping for from his starter tonight.
Blue Jays bullpen is very thin. In fact, in case you haven't heard, Ryan Tepera was called back up from AAA Buffalo, and unfortunately the Blue Jays had to designate Jimmy Paredes. So he's been designated for assignment, and now he's available to other teams. And
that was a tough decision for the Blue Jays. They were going back and forth trying to decide what the right thing to do would be.
Popped up over the Blue Jays dugout.
It all stemmed from the Blue Jays bullpen being very tired, being very overworked, if you will. So the thought was, well, let's bring in a fresh arm here. And Gibby said that after the game yesterday. He said we will probably get a fresh arm in here for Monday's game. But they would defeat the purpose if they gave up another pitcher, as Estrada strikes out Beltran. So you can't bring up a pitcher and then get rid of another pitcher. That defeats the purpose, right?
Yeah. And you just continue to stay very thin down in your bullpen. Beltran strikes out. Third strikeout of the night for Marco Estrada.
What a changeup.
I mean, it's not even close. One up. Brian McCann has popped out and hit into a double play. 3-6-3 double play in the fourth. Ground ball. Goins is out in right. Got plenty of time with McCann running. 2 down. Boy, this is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Blue Jays. Marco Estrada has been efficient. He threw 12 pitches in the first, 11 in the second, 16 in the third, 12 in the fourth, 11 in the fifth, and 14 in the sixth. Ideally, you stay around 15 pitches per inning. You'll stay fresh during the course of that inning, and you allow yourself to pitch deep into the game.
One of the things that's helping is he's throwing that changeup to these left-handers, and they're just pounding it right into the shift. You've got 3 infielders on the right side. They're pulling over and turning over on that changeup down and away, and it's become a lot of easy contact, easy ground balls.
Marco has averaged 12.6 pitches per inning tonight. Makes it easy on these two coaches that are moving the defense around.
You know, if the game was that easy, we'd have some more success. I mean, okay, here's our defense. We're going to put 3 guys over here. Now execute your pitch. When you do that, you're going to hit a ground ball right into our defense. It doesn't happen that way. But tonight so far, he is executing his pitches beautifully. And they're hitting right into their defense.
Teixeira strikes out for a second time tonight. The Yankees 3 up, 3 down in the 7th. Marco Estrada is on a roll.
Care events throughout the season. For a list of all Jays Care events during the 2016 season, visit www.jayscare.com.
Beautiful shot of the skyline down on the lake shore of Lake Ontario. CN Tower high above the Rogers Center, and it is a gorgeous night. The wind has died down. It was quite breezy around 5 o'clock during batting practice. But it is a very comfortable evening. Kevin Pillar 0 for 2, ground out on a flyout so far. Two and one now to the leadoff man here in the 7th.
Pillar finally saw a ball out in front of home plate. Everything has been inside like that right there, and it's just tied him up tonight.
Now he's chasing it. It's off the plate, not close to being a strike, but he sees it as a strike. He's been swinging at it.
All good hitters can be jammed. Remember that, because they're looking for the ball away from them. Trying to stay on it. That ball's another ball that is off the plate.
Two and two. Curveball downstairs. It's a full count. Ryan Goins will be next, and he's had a great start to his night.
You know what? If you see a ball in there like that, hook one foul or hit one hard. They just keep pounding him inside. Now, that's easier said than done. Remember Jim Abbott, left-hander, used to have that unbelievable cutter. He threw in there.
Yeah.
And the farther in he threw.
He just kept moving it further inside.
Yep. And I kept swinging at it instead of taking it. They just look so inviting.
Pillar gets one up out over the plate and rips it to right. Aaron Hicks makes a nice play. Pillar never hesitates. Here's the slide. He's safe. Drive of the Game is brought to you by the all-new Honda Civic, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Well, Ryan Goins was put in at shortstop today to give Devin Travis a little time off, and all he has done is doubled and done this. Went the other way with that sinking fastball, drops it right over the fence into the bullpen of the Blue Jays, and Ryan Goins with that drive is our drive of the game.
And that Pillar double has driven Ivan Nova out of the game. Nick Goody will come in to face the top of the order when we come back. Nova. This will be the second time the Blue Jays have seen him this season. He inherits a man at second and nobody out for Ryan Goins. Josh Donaldson and Ryan Goins, they play next to each other in infield, but before the game they were talking about hitting.
You know, we saw Josh Donaldson earlier today working out at second base with Devon Travis. Well, he was also spending some time with Ryan Goins about hitting, about letting the ball get tracked a little bit deeper so you can get your whole body behind your swing. You don't want to go out there and get it. You want to bring it back to you. Well, it obviously works. Right there, he's had a double and he's had a home run tonight thanks to Josh Donaldson's hitting tips.
Yeah, they'll make another date for 4:25 tomorrow afternoon down the left field line. Ryan Goins 2 for 2 with a double and a homer. Show him bunt this time. Ryan has 3 home runs, 2 of them to left field. His first home run of the season was hit against Jan Marinez from Tampa Bay. He hit it to the seats in left field in St. Petersburg.
And homered to right field in Texas. Remember who you are also. You got a leadoff double, still about scoring that run from second base. So his job now is to get that runner to third base for Bautista.
Pulls the bat back. 2-0. Blue Jays scored 1 in the first, 2 in the third, and Goins hit the home run in the 5th. Bautista has walked and scored. He's 0 for 2. Ivan Nova, 2 times they have faced him in the last 5 days. They have hit him hard. Goins got a little big with that swing, and still, you're right. You got to move Pilar at least up 90 feet.
Yeah, remember who you are, where you are in the batting order, where you are in the game. Your job right now is to get that runner at least to third base. Figure out how you're going to do that. You can pull it to right field for a base hit. If John Gibbons gives you the green light to go ahead and swing, pull the ball for a hit.
Beauty. Terrific bunt. Headley has 1 play. That's to first. Great job by Ryan Goins. He drew Headley away from third and made it easy for Pilar to advance second to third, and Goins stays perfect on the night.
You couldn't do it any better than that. Right there, look at the bat. Out in front, at an angle, so Headley's got to field the ball. It's not going to go foul. You can hit it there on about 3 or 4 bounces, make him field the ball. That clears the way for Pilar to get to third base. Now the infield has to come in against a very dangerous hitter.
Jose Bautista, this is not a comfortable situation for the infielders, especially on the left side. Jose has grounded out, walked, and struck out. All 3 of those plate appearances against Devon Nova.
How'd you like to be Chase Headley right now, third base?
No, thank you.
No, me either. He's 90 feet from Jose.
Lots of communication going on around the infield. Talking about their options. Bautista, of course, he wants to get the ball in the air here. Two balls and a strike. Blue Jays trying to add to their 4-0 lead.
They practice it every day, hitting in these situations right here. Runner at third base, less than 2 outs. Uppercut, get that ball into the outfield. He had a pitch to hit.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Bautista strikes out. So now it's up to Josh Donaldson. Try to pick up Bautista and cash in this runner from third. Donaldson is 1 for 3. He scored on the Encarnacion double in the first.
Well, it looks like Nick Goody's going to challenge these guys with his fastball. Right over the top. Struck out Jose with a fastball, and he started off Donaldson with a heater.
Little cutter right there off the edge of the corner.
Not a lot of history between Nick Goody and the Blue Jays. Just recalled from the minor leagues last month.
It's his 10th appearance this season. Donaldson pops up the fastball. Castro, the second baseman, is there, and the Blue Jays can't take advantage of a leadoff double here in the 7th. We'll go to the 8th. Marco Estrada and the Blue Jays lead 4-0 over New York. Marco Estrada, trying to beat the Yankees for the second time in 5 days, has had their number all night long.
Yeah, he has, because he's been able to get his fastball over for strikes, his curveball, his cutter, and that deadly changeup right there that puts down Beltran. He has thrown 87 pitches tonight through 7 innings, 56 strikes. He's lowered his earned run average to 247, and there hasn't been a lot of hard contact against Estrada all night long. Just 2 hits and 2 walks.
Jacoby Ellsbury singled as the first batter of this ball game, and then the only other hit, Carlos Beltran had a leadoff single in the 4th. That's been it for New York. Remember, yesterday the Yankees had 1 hit, but they won 2-1 on a Starlin Castro home run.
1 hit and one win. Pretty impressive.
Inside. Been a very unusual run for Joe Girardi's ball club. They have had extra base hits in their last 5 games. They've hit home runs. The only extra base hit has been a home run. That win yesterday behind Nathan Eovaldi on just 1 hit was historical in proportions, given that it was the only time in Yankee history, only the 2nd time the Yankees won with just 1 hit. Last time they did it, 1914. And no, I didn't see the game. So Estrada not pleased with the walk here to start the inning. Leadoff walk to Starlin Castro.
Same thing that happened in the 5th inning when Starlin Castro led that inning off.
Well, he mentioned that Castro has hit well against Estrada in the past came in with a .414 career average against him. Chase Headley guessing fastball.
Guessed wrong. That's how he can get in your head right there. When you talk to Marco, you ask him, you say, what's the biggest difference? He said, I learned to use that cutter and I learned to throw it. It just gave me one more weapon. And if you're guessing changeup, he throws a fastball, it's just 88 miles an hour. You can't pull the trigger.
But when you're thinking changeup, that 88 looks like 98. No balls and 2 strikes. Headley was late. 2-strike approach. Obviously, you're not as aggressive. Blue Jays have turned 2 double plays tonight to get McCann to double up in the 4th. Gregorius in the 5th.
Something on the ground right here. What pitch is it going to be that you can get that ball on the ground for a double play?
Strike 3 called. Chase Headley caught looking. 5 strikeouts for Estrada.
The all-new Honda Civic, now available with Turbo, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Shortstop Didi Gregorius 0 for 2. Two and 0.
Lefties hitting just 190 against Marco this year. I think in part because of that great changeup. That last pitch to Headley was a cutter that he just froze on the inner half.
There's a strike.
Got to be able to handle those lefties if you're a right-handed pitcher. And he has done that. 4th best in the American League. Just 190.
100 pitches now for Estrada. He has thrown as many as 118 in a ball game. That was over 6 2/3 innings against the White Sox right here. Aaron Loup, left-hander, loosening up. He's appeared in just 1 game, faced 2 batters and struck out both batters he faced. 2-2. Changeup popped into the seats.
Those are the kind of swings you get when you've got a good changeup. John Gibbons is taking a look at his lineup card. Who's on the bench for the Yankees, where he might be able to use Loup. I'm sure he's zeroed in on Ellsbury and Gardner for Aaron Loup.
Yeah, the 2 left-handed hitters top of the order. Aaron Hicks is on deck. He's a switch hitter. What a pitch. That fastball simply overmatched Gregorius.
Looking for the local, and he gets the express. That was a hitter looking for an off-speed pitch when you see this kind of swing. And Marco crosses him up once again. A flat-footed half swing by Gregorius. Again, about 88 miles an hour. Doesn't even lift his feet off the ground as he is fooled by that fastball.
Aaron Hicks, number 9 hitter. Goes after the first pitch, and this is going to be fair ball. All the way into the left field corner. Castro is going to stop at third, and they overthrow the cutoff man. So that might be it for Marco Estrada. Second and third, 2 outs, and Ellsbury and Gardner, both left-handed hitters. Pete Walker checking on the status of Aaron Loup.
Just checking to make sure he is ready to go. This ball sliced down the left field line. Michael Saunders gets over there very quickly, and all you have to do as an outfielder, just get it back in as quick as possible so you hold that runner at third base.
Second and third. The Blue Jays have a 4-run lead. It's 4-0. Jacoby Ellsbury is 1 for 2 with a walk. He had a single in his first at bat. Cutter inside. More than likely, this is going to be the last hitter for Estrada. Gardner, a lefty bat on deck. Loup ready by now. Fly ball. Popped up. Goins backs up. Estrada strands a pair. What an outing for Marco Estrada. 8 shutout innings. He's allowed just 3 hits. Blue Jays have a 4-0 lead. Now time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio. For the second time in 5 days. It's the same pitching matchup we saw last Wednesday in New York. He threw 101 pitches, faced 1 batter in the 7th, and was taken out of the game. He is charged with 4 earned runs on 8 hits, and he gave up a home run to Ryan Goins.
It's also his 15th start in his career versus the Blue Jays, and his ERA was at .563 for his career versus the Blue Jays. He hit that right around that tonight with those 8 hits and 4 runs in 6+ innings. Blue Jays trying to hold on now as they enter the bottom of the 8th with a 4-run lead.
Edwin Encarnacion has driven in his 39th and 40th run of the season. He had an RBI double in the first and RBI ground out in the 3rd. Nick Goody came into the ball game with a runner at second and nobody out in the 7th, was able to strand Kevin Pillar at third after the sacrifice bunt by Ryan Goins.
Yeah, did a good job after they got him to third base. Got two of the best hitters on the team. He struck him out and popped up the other one. Now he's got to deal with Encarnacion. Got a good little breaking ball. And a decent fastball.
He gets overshadowed, of course, with those big three relievers down in their bullpen. He strikes out Encarnacion, and he knew it. A couple of strikeouts for Goody since he's come into the game.
You know what the Yankees have done well over the years is they've drafted college pitchers, and they filled up their bullpen. Hard college pitchers. Nick Goody's from LSU. 6th round draft pick. Did a good job. Retired 3 of the 4 batters that he faced.
So Nick Goody is out. Richard Blyer will come in. He's one of 3 left-handers the Yankees have in their bullpen to face Michael Saunders. Richard Blyer making his major league debut. He's 29 years old. He was just called up from AAA after 6 games in the minor leagues. There you see his numbers. 35 innings, and Blue Jays know him. He pitched 2014. He was a teammate of Aaron Sanchez in New Hampshire AA.
The former 6th round draft pick in 2008 out of Florida Gulf Coast by the Texas Rangers. Blue Jays got him as a Rule 5 guy in 2013. He's got a decent fastball, slider, and a good changeup. He's got very good command. So if you're Michael Saunders, be ready to swing the bat.
Bouncing ball. Castro to his left. Richard Blyer is a big leaguer. He got it out in the big leagues. Been a long road for Blyer. He started out at Spokane in the Northwest League in 2008. He's pitched in the Dominican Winter League a couple of years. Pitched in the Pacific Coast League, the Eastern League, International League. Now he's pitching in the American League.
I think they just threw the ball out. Yeah, give it to Steve Donahue right there, the trainer. You got your first out in the big leagues against Michael Saunders. Let's tape it up and mark it up.
Smoke hits a bouncing ball. Gregorius with a strong arm throws him out. Richard Blyer gets 2 ground ball outs in his major league debut. And we'll go to the 9th. 4-0 Blue Jays. Aaron Loup coming out of the pen. He had 8 innings of shutout ball. He allows the Yankees just 3 hits. He walked 3, struck out 6, and he is in line for beating the Yankees twice within 5 days.
108 pitches, lowers that earned run average to 243 with those 6 strikeouts. What a job for Marco Estrada. That's what the Blue Jays were hoping for from their starter tonight, go deep. So the bullpen only needs to cover 1 inning, and the guy out of the bullpen here in the 9th inning will be Aaron Loup. Second game that he has pitched in since he was recalled from AAA. Spent some time down there on some injury rehab. He had some problems with his elbow. Talking to him today, he says, "I'm fine, I feel good, there's no problems."
Ezekiel Carrera comes in defensively as Rob Refsnyder, just called back up from the minor leagues, will pinch hit here for Brett Gardner. Popped up. That's going to be out of play.
You know, Aaron said something to me really interesting this afternoon. He said, ever since I dropped my arm down, my arm angle, he says, I've never had an arm problem. Never. But for some reason in spring training, it started barking on him a little bit. He had some issues with his elbow, but he said structurally everything is fine. And right now he says, I have no problems.
This is not a save situation, but it'll certainly save the bullpen and give him an opportunity to regroup a little bit down there. They talked to Ross Atkins before the game, and he mentioned the Blue Jays, they've won 7 in the last 10. So some of the games have been close, so John Gibbons and Pete Walker have had to call upon a lot of relievers, not necessarily to come into games, but to get up and get loose.
They've been very busy down in that bullpen. You get them hot, you get them up, you get them starting to throw, and sometimes they come into the game, sometimes they don't. A lot of close games for the Blue Jays over the last week, 10 days or so.
Carlos Beltran, a switch hitter, will bat next. Everybody down in that bullpen a little bit taxed right now. They could use another night off. Snyder goes after that pitch. Not taking anything close, that's for sure. The Yankees have been shut out 3 times. CC Sabathia will go to the mound tomorrow, be opposed by Jay Happ in the middle game of this 3-game series. Just a little farther inside. That's good for the strikeout. Now for the preview of what's coming up next on Sports Central. Here's Ken and Ivanka. Thank you very much, Ivanka. That'll be coming up right after this ball game. Carlos Beltran 1 for 3 in the ball game. Ball on the strike to the switch hitter. Joe Girardi knows this is a tough stretch of games for the Yankees, and they have an older roster. They'll play 10 games on this road trip in 10 days. They had an off day scheduled on Thursday. They'll have a makeup game in Detroit. Michael Pineda will start that game for the Yankees.
And it's not like they're facing teams that don't have a lot of pitching. Face Tampa Bay, you know the kind of pitching they have down there. The Blue Jays, we all know about their starters.
That hit Beltran on the back foot, and he'll take first. That slider hit him on the foot, and he'll take first with 1 out. We mentioned the Yankees won yesterday in Tampa Bay. They got just 1 hit. Well, they're being shut out on 3 hits today.
Slider one more time. Beltran holds up and hits him right on the toe. Been battling some back soreness. Out of the lineup yesterday. That time he takes one off the foot.
Brian McCann, a straight left-handed bat, will bat lefty against the left-hander Luke. McCann 0 for 3. Breaking ball, just real patient. Luke struck out the first 2 batters he faced this season in the Boston series. But it looks like he's very calm and patient, trying to trust his pitches.
Got another one tonight, the first batter that he faced. He was talking before the game that he was trying to overthrow last year, trying to light up the radar gun, and that's not his game. His game is deception and movement. Here's Drew Storer, and I think if they get down to Castro, Starlin Castro, the right-hander, that's where we would see Drew Storer. John Gibbons doesn't want it to get down that far, but deception and movement, that's what you need that time. A little bit too hard. Just get it close.
Luke has faced McCann quite a bit. He has held him to a 2 for 10. The ball is hit deep into center field. Pilar watches this one hit off the facing. Brian McCann has hit a 2-run home run, his 7th home run, and just like that, it's a brand new ball game here in the 9th.
Well, the Yankees do it again. They get another extra base hit on the home run. It's 6 straight games that they have hit a home run in. John Gibbons is going to come out, and I think he's going to make a pitching change.
He's made the call to the bullpen. Luke strikes out the pinch hitter Ref Snyder, then hits Beltran and gives up a 2-run home run. And now it is a save situation. So they go to Drew Storer, trying to wrap this thing up. Mark Teixeira, switch hitter, will bat lefty. In tough against Darren Luke.
Tried to sneak a fastball by him after a couple of breaking balls, ran the count to 2-2, and McCann 2 for 10 against Aaron coming into this at bat. That is his first home run, and he has cut the lead in half at 4-2.
Drew Storen to face Mark Teixeira. Storen had a good outing on Saturday in the Blue Jays comeback. He pitched a very good 8th inning after giving up a leadoff double.
Drew is 0-2. He also has 2 saves this year. And you said it, this is now a save opportunity with the tying run on deck.
Storen pitched in yesterday's game in the 11th. Gave up an RBI double. Teixeira hits this one to right. Bautista can't make the catch. It's over his glove off the wall. Teixeira's headed for second, and he'll get there with a one-arm double. And that'll bring the tying run to the plate.
Fall behind 2-0. You got a 2-run lead. You have to challenge him with a fastball, and Tex was ready. Hit that ball hard. It looked like Jose was going to come up with it initially. 2-0 fastball down and in. There's that Teixeira swing. It's got a lot of top spin on it. That's why I thought Jose had a chance to get it.
One out. Teixeira at second. Starlin Castro. He's got some power.
I'm sure these two have hooked up before. There's Chad Gerardo and Jesse Chavez now warming up for the Blue Jays.
Castro 2 for 6 against Storen. They both spent time in the National League, of course. Breaking ball lifted in the air. Bautista is there. Teixeira's halfway. 2 down.
That is Tim Leeper getting his outfield set. Louis Rivera right next to him getting his infield set. Tying run at the plate.
First pitch strike.
So the outfield's a little bit deeper. The infield's going to play a little bit deeper against Chase Headley. Knock anything down.
Headley 0 for 3. Struck out his last time up. Strike 2. Got it. That's the ball game. Drew Storen picks up his save. It's the 3rd of the season, his 98th career save, and that makes a winner out of Marco Estrada.
And what a game Marco Estrada put together for the Blue Jays. 8 innings for Estrada, 6 strikeouts, no runs, just 3 hits. The offense was good enough with Goins with a couple of hits and a home run. And the Blue Jays take the first one of this series against the Yankees.
Brian Goins with a big night. Estrada set the tone. Storen closes it out. Blue Jays win the opener. Here's Ken and Ivanka, Sportsnet Central. We'll see you tomorrow night.